What's up, Nerdgenic Nation? Superhero nerd Aaron Waller here, and today I am super excited because I got to interview Michael Yu, who is the creator and director of the upcoming live-action Batman Beyond project called Batman Beyond Year One. I got the chance to sit down with Michael for just a little while and talk a little bit about the project and about Batman Beyond in general. So here's that interview, and I hope you guys enjoy. So with me is the director and writer of the Batman Batman animated, what am I talking about? The Batman fan film, I guess is what we can best call it. But with me is Michael Yu, who's also been in the industry for quite some time professionally. Thank you so much for joining me, I really appreciate it. We recently did a video about Batman Beyond, and that's actually how we first met, is you taking on this project and then finding our video. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'd love to hear more from you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me on doing this interview. Appreciate it. As you mentioned, my name is Michael, and I've been working in the film industry for a bit. I work as a visual effects producer for my day-to-day job, but my friends and I, we're always just constantly working on our own independent projects, whether it's shorts or features even now. So yeah, this passion project of ours came from my DP and Ian, who's our DP for the project, and we're both fans of the original cartoon Batman Beyond. And it's something that's been in the back of my mind for years at this point, right? It's always been like, it'd be really cool to see a Batman Beyond project live action. And it felt like the right time now with the resources that we have and the connections that we have to try to make something on a bigger scale, something that can really, something that fans can be proud of. So yeah, we've been working on this for the past year, developing it, gathering a team together, and the team that we have is one of the things that I'm most proud of and very happy that we have so many just talented people who are passionate about what we're doing. And so we are gearing up to shoot pretty soon. And I think we're going to have a lot of exciting stuff to show the fans.
And I'm super excited. I mean, Batman Beyond has always been one of those projects that, as I kind of mentioned in that video that we made, it's one of those difficult things. I think there's a lot of moving pieces to it. We've seen so many different iterations of Batman, but Batman Beyond, I feel like they're kind of holding on to. There's something special about it. And I think that you taking on the project is commendable, because I know it's going to be a lot going into it, having to create whole worlds essentially of the Neo-Gotham and the styles of everything, the suit, and having to overcome those obstacles. But I'm just curious, I want you to tell the fans a little bit from the mouth of the creator here. Tell us a little bit about the project. Like, what are we going to be seeing? What was your story, your take on the Batman Beyond from your perspective?
For sure. Yeah, as you said, I think. Oh, apologies.
No, you're fine.
So as you said, Batman Beyond, I think, is a very difficult sort of story to adapt because of the nature of the time and setting. Right, it's a futuristic world, and that in itself just requires, on paper, a lot of resources. Logistically, it's not something that is easy or cheap to make. It's probably the easiest way to say it. And so, I think for us, we wanted to be sure that it's like, okay, can we sell this world properly? Because we didn't want it to just be like, like a single scene, and we see Batman or Terry in his suit, and like a quick small scene, very isolated, and like that's it. Like, we were like, no, if we want to do this, we want to make sure that we can sell that this is a futuristic cyberpunk world. And that's kind of what we are really aiming to do, and pulling in our experience with visual effects, right? Because that's what I think will really help kind of push that film to the next level, being able to portray Neo-Gotham City in a way that we haven't seen before on live action. And so, what I think what fans can expect is a film that will have a lot of great action, which we can talk about later with the action team. It has a lot of great drama and character development for seeing the character of Terry and also Melanie Walker and how they kind of meet and develop with each other. And we also want to showcase, again, Neo-Gotham as a character of its own, like really show like with our set pieces and the sort of visual effects we're doing in virtual production show how we can really show this as a living, breathing place for our actors to kind of interact with. And yeah, our story takes place a few months into Terry already becoming Batman. We're not exactly following the cartoon one-to-one. We are kind of doing our own interpretation of the story in a way that we think can work well for live action. So I think there's a lot of things that work well in the show, but they don't necessarily translate to the medium of live action. So a lot of it's about finding the balance between keeping the same, iconic imagery and characters from the show, but again, bringing it to something that feels like you can imagine people in real life seeing or doing. So yeah, in this story here, we have a semi-inexperienced Terry. Like I said, he's a few months into becoming Batman. He's not that experienced yet, but he's got a couple months into exploring how the suit works and dealing with some villains on the street. So here we find him encountering our villains, the Royal Flush Gang, and that's kind of the story that we're going to explore. Yeah, so that's kind of an overview of the story.
No, that's awesome. And I know it's a year one. It's sort of a subtitle for you guys is year one. So very early on, Terry didn't expect, super experience or anything like that. But I like the approach that you guys are taking, having that sort of established. I think that we've all sort of tired of the origin stories at this point. Even if it's something fresh and kind of new with Terry, it's a little bit it's kind of reminiscent of, the classic, tropes of things. So you guys taking that leap, I think, is super awesome. And since you mentioned before that you're a visual effects artist or visual effects coordinator by trade, what kind of inspired you to take on this film? I know you said you were a fan, but was there anything that sort of really kick-started that to be thinking, okay, now is the right time? Like you were saying, the technology, but as a passion project, what was that thing that made you say, now's the time to do this? Because it is a big undertaking.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is driven by the technology that we have available, as you mentioned. Just seeing the developments over the past few years with other productions that are using virtual production. And, there's like the big ones like The Mandalorian, or even like recently 1899 on Netflix doing it. And that was a big kind of push to be like, yeah, like this stuff is more feasible. And then just seeing how programs like Unreal Engine, nowadays for building out environments can be done so quickly, and you can achieve so much in a real-time environment. That kind of gave us the push for being like, let's try to do this. And so I talked to my friends and colleagues who also work in the industry, and just a lot of people were excited about the idea of getting to build this world out digitally. And of course, it's not just the digital set we're building. We will be having physical set pieces as well to kind of bring this to life fully. So yeah, it just felt like for us, based on the connections and the resources that we had and seeing where the technology was, that this is something achievable and possible. And of course, we are being strategic about it too. With this short, like just what you mentioned before, in terms of us choosing to start the story where we do, like a few months in, that was also a very deliberate choice, right? It's as a short film, you have to think about like, okay, can we do an origin story? Probably not, because that's like a lot of time you're devoting to just building the character and then the short ends. So it's like maybe not worth it in that point. So yeah, it's about a lot of strategic decisions about saying like, what's the most bang for buck we can get in a short proof of concept that like still develops the character, still provides a lot of entertainment, and it just felt like the right time now.
And just so everybody who watches this interview, you guys currently have a Kickstarter going on, which has an amazing trailer. It's not a trailer for the film per se, it's more setting up for promotion for the film and getting people interested, which there will be a link down in the description. But I watched that a couple times just because of some of the things that you talk about, sort of that pre-visualization with like the Mandalorian type digital sets and kind of like that reference that you were using. and just some of the things you've established so far, even if they're not the final product. I mean, they're looking really good, man. I think you guys should be very happy with what you do have. I mean, as a fan and just, movie lover in general, I think what you guys have going on is great. I've seen a couple different fan films of, all kinds. There's a Power Rangers one, a couple, Batman ones out there, a couple different ones, but I think this one is definitely something special and something that people haven't seen before, which is probably one of the most exciting things about it is you might be the, leading this particular thing, getting your foot in the door for something that we haven't yet seen. I'm super excited for that. So definitely check out that video on their Kickstarter. Make sure you contribute if you can. If you can't, at least try and help spread the word to help make this happen, not only for my sake, but for all the fans of Batman Beyond and yourself and all the hard work you and your team are putting in. So make sure to check out that link. But moving on really quick, I'm just curious, as somebody who's been in the industry, what sort of films or fan films inspired you to make this, or are just in like your top 5? What are you interested in?
Yeah, I think the biggest influences for myself and also our DP Ian are definitely a lot of Denis Villeneuve films. Blade Runner 2049 being one of the probably biggest inspirations, right? Like our approach is almost like imagine Blade Runner meets Batman. That's the kind of outlook we have for this. And there's the recent Dune movie as well that kind of goes into that kind of more sci-fi world. And so seeing those sleek and like just creative sci-fi worlds being brought to life so successfully, that's kind of I think a big inspiration for us. And besides that, yeah, there's definitely a lot of fan films that I think kind of showcase like what is possible for these characters. And so there's the Bat and the Sun ones, which always have such amazing action and costumes. And there's also Isma Hawk and all the cool things they've been doing for years. And so I think there's a lot of build up over these past years from these existing fan films that show hey, there's such cool stuff that is doable by fans. And so yeah, that definitely kind of gave us a surge of inspiration. I was yeah, we can do this, and we can make something that fans will be happy with. But yeah, as far as films go, I would say definitely Blade Runner is our kind of key almost like codex that we're looking to in terms of the quality of the world that we're bringing to life and tone and things like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Of course, you have recent films like the Batman too. So yeah, there's a lot out there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even some of the, like you said, in that trailer, you can see a little bit of the influence, and I think that's exactly what that Neo-Gotham kind of needs. It's very much like that Blade Runner world. A lot of obviously that neon look and style to it, and I think you guys are definitely on the right track for that. So that's awesome. Great to hear. Now, Batman Beyond, like you said, you were a fan. Was there anything that particularly connected you with that franchise, as opposed to if you wanted to undertake another one? I know you've done already a Kid Flash short, which you guys can definitely check out. We'll put the link in the description for that as well. But what inspired you that wanted to go with that one in particular? Was it something with maybe Terry? Was it just a different kind of Batman you hadn't seen before? What was the sort of push in that direction?
Yeah, I think there's a few different factors here that kind of attribute to why I connect with the show. So I think on the kind of most surface level, it is something new that we haven't seen. There's obviously been a lot of Batman iterations in live action over the past several decades. And so I think just right off the bat, doing Batman Beyond already brings something fresh and new to people. So that's the kind of most surface level kind of factors. Yeah, this is something very cool, and it's a sci-fi version of Batman that hasn't been seen before, and I think that will be able to draw in a lot of new audiences along with the existing fan base. On a personal level, I think for a lot of fans growing up watching the show, seeing a younger Batman take the mantle is also very inspiring. And it's funny, Kid Flash also being a younger superhero, kind of taking in the reins there. And so I think for Terry, why myself and a lot of other fans connected, especially as again children growing up with it, is almost has that Peter Parker kind of Spider-Man vibe to it, right? Where it's like it's showing what is possible for even like a young person to be able to do as a superhero.
Yeah.
And beyond that, I think there's also just the, even though Terry McGinnis and a lot of the characters in the show aren't necessarily like explicitly Asian American, they're not, right? Like if you know Terry's backstory, he's not. But the art style always almost had like an Asian American influence to some of the characters and also some of the world design. So I think for that as well, there was a bit of inspiration there, and a chance for us to be like, okay, what can you do with showing these new heroes and also bringing some more Asian American representation to the cast. So yeah, I think again, there's like basically those three factors that kind of all push for me being like pulled to the story.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's definitely something, like we said, I think in a couple of different regards, even if it's a different look to Batman, a lot, different kids can relate to it differently than a Bruce Wayne, for example, or, that's the style, not necessarily like anime per se, but, a little bit more Asian influenced. And so, there was a different look to it, a different feel to it. And I think in that sort of early 2000s time that it came out, it really resonated with a lot of that style and sort of that direction that things were moving. So it makes a lot of sense. I love it. Now, I know this is going to be possibly a little bit jumping the gun, but I'm just curious. In terms of making this project thus far, what has been the most challenging aspect you've experienced in this process? I know you haven't really started, a couple aspects as of yet, and it's still in, a lot of development, but what have you found to be the biggest challenge?
I'd say one of the biggest challenges is probably the scope of this project. We are definitely very ambitious with what we're trying to do. So it is a lot to manage. It's a lot of different, we're taking use basically of like every department in a film. Whether it's costumes and having like very detailed and high quality costumes, both for the super suits, but also just like the ordinary costumes for people wearing it in like their daily lives. And then there's also just the art department dealing with, again, like these big set pieces that we're building. So that's, again, a lot to manage as well. And that also goes to dealing with like a large cast, a large action and stunt team. There's a lot of logistics that go when it comes to dealing with stunts and safety and like wire rigging. And it keeps going all the way to like visual effects and making sure that we have all of our assets ready. So I think, just the sheer scope of the project is like has been challenging in the sense that it's a lot for our team to overlook, and it definitely keeps us on our toes as we just have to make sure everything is moving smoothly across all departments at once.
I can imagine.
And I'm sure once we get into production, more challenges will arise, which is usual filmmaking.
Nature of the business, I'm sure you're very familiar with.
Yeah.
All right. Honestly, that was pretty much most of my questions. Was there anything you wanted to, sort of talk about the project? Like I said, I'm going to leave the link in the description. I'm also going to put it on screen for the people to be able to see and go check it out. So far, you guys are making a pretty good chunk into the campaign so far from what I've seen. But whatever we can do to get people to contribute, I want to give the floor to you and whatever you would like to say about the project or anything else.
Sure. I think just, my hope is that this project can really bring a little bit of something to anyone, regardless of their kind of interests and tastes. So it's like, if you're interested in Batman and comics, like you're gonna get that. You're gonna get a fresh new take of Batman and like, bringing back Batman Beyond to life. If you're interested in action, we're gonna have some incredible action. I can't stress like just how talented like our stunt performers and our action designer Jaquan is, and again, it's like the stuff you see in movies like Shang-Chi or even like the Raid movies. Like you're getting that quality of combat in this film. If you're interested in drama and romance, we have that as well with developing Terry's character with Melanie and how they meet and how they kind of grow together. And so yeah, I think there's a lot that this film offers, and I hope the comic book community will be excited about it. And yeah, just any sort of support helps. You know, if you can donate even $1, even $10, like that all adds up. There are obviously a lot of comic book fans around the world, so that kind of, you know, bit by bit, it still helps a lot. And if you can't donate, even just helping spread the word out to your friends and family, that is still very helpful. So yeah, you know, my only closing thoughts are I'm very excited to show people what we have in store, and I think people, fans, especially fans who have been wanting to see Batman Beyond as a live action film for like a long time, I think they will be excited and happy with it as well.
Yeah, like I said, I think I've said it before, but I'm super excited about the project. If you guys aren't convinced just by what Michael has said in this interview, I mean, just go to the link, watch the video that he put together. I mean, that alone will sell you on this project. You can scroll down, you can see some of the awesome stuff that he's already kind of been working on, the ideas that they have, how grand it is, and you'll be convinced that this is a fully like realized project. Like, this is what all of us fans have been waiting for quite some time, and I'm super excited for it. I know you're going into production, you know, shortly, and I hope that, you know, we're going to start seeing some of those things roll out. I know you still got a lot of surprises for us, including Terry and Bruce. Mm-hmm. So whenever we find out who those are going to be, you know, see some scenes or see posts or whatever you guys have, I cannot wait to see what you have to share with us.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time that you've given us today. Make sure you guys go and check out the Kickstarter. Again, the link will be down in the description as well as on screen. If you can't donate, make sure you spread the word, whatever the case may be. We greatly appreciate it. We greatly appreciate Michael for taking the time to have this conversation with us, sit down. Really appreciate it. And go check out the project. It's definitely worth checking out. Even if you check out the trailer, again, you'll definitely be convinced to donate or share or something and help get the word out. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. We really do appreciate it. We hope to see you in the next video.